everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MG if you would like, and I apologize for starting this vlog off with such abysmal lighting and the sound of my ceiling fan going. I promise there's a reason, and the reason is that it's 8 p.m. Why am I starting this vlog at 8 p.m. you ask? Well, earlier today I finished up my first Magical Readathon vlog of the month, and I thought about starting the next one tomorrow, just for a clean slate. But I want to start reading the next book, and in order to start reading the next book, I have to introduce it to you guys. So here we are. So this is the vlog for Astronomy, and I'm so excited for this vlog because of two of the books, really. The third book I'm interested in, but not as much as the other two. One is a reread, but that's not what we're up to yet. We're up to the first book that I have to read, which is a book I've been meaning to get to for a super long time. So the first prompt for Astronomy is the constellation of the Cradle, and the prompt is to read a book that was released in your birth month. Doesn't have to be the day or the year, just the month matters. So I was born in September. It is my birth month. And the book that I found that starts in September, that was published in September, that's the word I wanted, was The Diviners by Libba Bray. I thrifted this. It's like a nearly mint condition copy. It's a little bit scuffed, but I thrifted this sometime last year, maybe the year before, but I'm pretty sure it was just this past year. And it's just been sitting on my shelf and I've been wanting to read it, so we're finally gonna do that. This is historical fantasy YA about Evie is the main character's name, and it's 1926 New York. And she has some sort of clairvoyant supernatural power type thing. I don't really know much beyond that. Can we just take a second, though, to look at this cover? It's absolutely stunning. I can tell why it wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea, but personally, I love this so much. But yeah, this was originally released in September 2012, so 12 years later, I'm getting around to reading it. This is a bit scary to me because it is... Let's find out how many pages. 468 pages, which isn't too bad, but look at how tiny this font is and how narrow the margins are. So this is a densely packed book. I'm still very excited. I'm hoping that I'm going to love it. I think I'm going to love it. I have read from Libba Bray before, and I really liked her book Beauty Queens, but that was when I was in high school, and I still have it on my shelf. I just haven't really read it since then, so my tastes might have changed, but historical fantasy has really been my favorite genre recently, so I have high hopes for this one, and I'm going to get started on it tonight. I don't know how far into it I'm going to get, but hopefully it doesn't take me 8 million years to read this because I have a lot more books to get to in the month, but we're gonna get a chunk done tonight, and I will update you at some point in the future when I have my bearings on what this book is, so I will see you then. Hello friends, I am here to give you my first update on The Diviners. I am 154 pages in. I read about 60 pages last night before bed, and then I guess that'd be like, what, 90 something pages throughout the morning in between other tasks that I've been doing. But I'm about a third of the way through now, so I figured it'd be a good time to update you. I'm kind of obsessed. It's a little bit hard to read, not because of the story, but like I showed you before, this is the tiniest font and the thinnest margins I've ever seen. But it is so interesting. So diviners are basically people who have supernatural abilities of some sort. So a good example would be our main character, Evie. She can read people's secrets from their items, like their possessions, and she does this as a party trick and gets kicked out of her hometown back in Ohio. Her mom and dad are like, we don't want this to turn into a whole big thing, because like people don't know about her secret, but she like uncovers something about some really popular guy in town, and like an influential guy, and her parents are like, we're gonna let this blow over by sending you to New York City to live with your uncle, her mom's brother. And so she's ecstatic because she loves New York City. and she's staying with her Uncle Will, who runs the occult museum there, which isn't doing too well. It might be closing down if they can't afford to pay their bills any longer, but that's like a B plot. There's also like this murder going on. There's been 2 murders that we've seen that are connected, but we think there might be more that have happened. The police just haven't like put in with these 2 murders that we've seen, and Will, the uncle, is like a consultant on this because of the strange occult nature of the murders. There's been a lot of references to the Book of Revelation, which I love. I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I was raised in the Christian church, and so I am not the most knowledgeable about the Bible, but I have quite a bit of knowledge on what happens in the Bible, and the Book of Revelation has always been fascinating to me. It is basically the account of what the Christians believe is going to happen at the end of the world, so like the apocalypse, and there's been a lot of references to that. I think it's so interesting, and I'm excited to see where that all goes. We also have other diviners who have been mentioned. So there's Sam, who robbed Evie in like the first 10 minutes of her being in the city, but now he's working at the occult museum and really getting on Evie's nerves, and it's so funny. There's also Memphis, who I think is my favorite character. He hasn't met the others yet. He's still kind of his own plot line, but he used to be able to heal for like a short amount of time. He like experienced this whatever that changed his life, and he was able to heal people by touching them, and then it hasn't been explicitly stated yet, but I feel like it's leading this way, where his mom died and he wasn't able to heal her, and ever since then he's never been able to heal anyone anymore. So he lives with his aunt and younger brother, Isaiah, who has been having these weird spells where he kind of just like gets into a trance and starts saying things that sound like they come from the Book of Revelation. So that's another tie-in, and Memphis, is a writer. He wants to be a great poet like Langston Hughes and the other writers of the Harlem Renaissance. I really like his point of view because we get to see the Harlem Renaissance and everything going on. I just think that's fascinating. I don't think I mentioned what Sam's diviner ability is. He can like slip in and out of places unnoticed and basically just like put up this mental block where it's like, I don't want people to see me, and people will just not see him. So that's interesting. And yeah, it's been a whole lot of setup so far, but I'm very, very intrigued to see how more things play out. So I think since I updated you at the 1/3 mark, I guess I'll update you when I'm around 300 pages, because that'll be 2/3 of the way into the book. And that seems fair to me, but I have other stuff to get going today, so I'm not picking this up right now, but I will be reading a little bit here and there throughout the day, and I will see you at some point in the future when I've made further progress, so see you then. Good morning, friends. It is Thursday, the 5th, and I've got an update on the diviners because I'm exactly 300 pages in, so I'm about 2/3 of the way, because this is 400 something? How many pages is this actually? 468, so I'm like just shy of 2/3 of the way through. But things are heating up. We have finally had more crossover between the various plot threads. So like Memphis has met some people from the occult museum plot area, and we've got some like past things coming back to fruition, I guess. There was these like murders 50 years before the events of this book, that are connected to the murders happening now, and it's just so fascinating. I'm so excited to continue on with this. We've got some romance going on between Memphis and Theta. I don't know if I mentioned Theta. She is friends with Evie. She's a Ziegfeld girl. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. Ziegfeld. They're like famous dancers, I guess. They're like minor celebrities, maybe. But the two of them are kind of getting a thing for each other. They discovered that they've both been having these weird dreams, and that's kind of what drew them together. This, though, is bringing some of the racial tension of the time period in, because Memphis is a black man and Theta is a white woman. And we've also had minor dealings with the KKK, because that was something that was huge during this time period. So, a lot of things going on. I can see why this book is so big and so chunky, because there's so many small moving elements to it, and it's really good. I'm really, really enjoying this book, and I don't know if I would have enjoyed it if I had read it when it came out. I mean, I think I would have, but I feel like right now where I'm at and my tastes in reading, this is just really doing it for me, so I'm glad that I'm reading it now. I am going to get back to this and read more, and I will see you in the future when I have finished this book. Friends, it is still Thursday the 5th. It's exactly 10 p.m. on the dot. It just changed over as I was pressing record on my phone. I am here to tell you that I have finished The Diviners. When I tell you that this book is everything I needed, oh my goodness, this was fantastic and absolutely amazing. I need my hands on the rest of the series immediately. And they also have these really fun neon colors. I don't know if you can see the little cover previews, but the next one is like lime green yellow, and then this one's blue, and then I think the fourth one is orange. And I think that's so much fun. I love these covers, but that is besides the point. The story is so good. I love the way this story's plot wrapped up and still left like little strands loose to tie into the rest of the series. I cannot wait. If I had to complain about anything, I would say that there are characters who kind of just drop off partway through. Mabel is one of them. We don't really see her in the last third of the book, except for like one chapter, like the third to last chapter. She's in there for a moment and she meets this man who gives his business card, and she like puts it in her secret pocket in her whatever. So Mabel's doing stuff. We just didn't see her for so long. And then like Theta and Henry, they kind of just fall off the face of the planet for not as long as Mabel did, but there's a good chunk of the last arc where they just aren't around. And it feels weird because they're all such important characters throughout the whole first 2/3 of the book, and then it just doesn't involve them anymore. And I understand why I don't know if you just heard my boyfriend yelling from downstairs. I didn't tell him I was filming, so he doesn't know to be quiet. I understand why it was written the way it was at the end, and why we focused on the characters we did and the plot lines that we did. But it's still, if I had to complain about something, that would be my complaint. But I still think I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10, because it was so good. Oh, I'm so happy that I read this. This was fantastic. This is almost definitely going on my list of favorite books of the year. Wow, okay. I'm going to spend the rest of my night thinking about this while I get ready for bed. I'll come back in the morning to tell you about the next book I'm reading, because this was only the first book in this vlog. I feel like
because it's so thick and the ones I read in the last vlog were so small, it felt like I've already read more than one, but this was just the first. We still have 2 more to go. So I will come back in the morning to tell you about the second book that I'll be picking up, which I'm very excited for. So I will see you in the morning, guys.
Good morning, friends. It is finally chilly enough that I can pull out my crew neck, and I'm so happy. I love fall, and like my comfiest clothes are the ones that I wear in fall. I need to get more crew necks though. I definitely don't have enough. That is neither here nor there. I'm here to introduce the next book I'll be reading in this vlog. So the next astronomy prompt is the constellation of Castle, and that is to read a book with a castle on the cover. And believe it or not, I had a very hard time finding a book for this. In the end, I did fudge it a little bit. It's fine. We're just gonna go with it. The book I've picked is Inkheart by Cornelia Funk, and over here, that looks like the ruins of a castle to me, so that's what we're going with for Castle on the cover. As you can see, my copy is extremely beat up. All of these pages are curling up. I don't know, man. I've had this since I was like 9 years old. I bought it at this little used bookstore, so like it was a little bit beat up even before I got it. But then I've had it for the last like 15 years, and I've read it so many times. I genuinely don't even know how many times I've picked this book up. It's one of my favorites. I love it so much. I love it to the point where my middle name, Gwyn, I picked after, I don't know if you can see this little guy, but there's a Martin, and his name is Gwyn, and he's a character in this book, and that's what my middle name is after this character, this little animal. Um, yeah, so I love this book. I'm rereading it now specifically because in, I believe, late November, another book set in this world is coming out, so I want to read the whole trilogy. So it's Inkheart, Inkspell, and Inkdeath. And then the new book is called The Color of Revenge, which, that's a sick title. I'm obsessed. But it's about a side character, and it takes place, I think, the Goodreads whatever said 5 years after the conclusion of this trilogy, and this character wants revenge. I need to refresh myself on everything that happened so I'm all caught up for when that book comes out. So that's what I'll be reading. This is kind of a chunky book. 548 is what I was trying to say. So she's thick, but this is a book I've read countless times. It is a middle grade. It's gonna go by pretty quick. I don't know how many updates I'll be giving you on this because nothing's really going to surprise me, I don't think, because I've read this so many times. I could probably quote passages from this at this point if I'm being honest. So I'll just see you at some point to talk about this book. It has been a hot minute since I last updated you, but I did get some B-roll footage, so it's fine. It is about 7:30 p.m. on Sunday the 8th. I'm currently streaming, so if you see me looking over, it's because I'm paranoid that for some reason I'm going to be unmuted and people can hear me when I'm doing this update, but I should be fine. I'm here to tell you that I finished reading Inkheart. I didn't update you throughout the whole thing because, like I said, I was like, I'm not gonna have anything to update you on because I've read it so many times, I don't really have anything new to say, and I don't know, it just would feel weird updating you. But this was so much fun. I did go a little bit insane yesterday when I was reading it. I kind of dipped into the fandom side of things and I was scrolling through different tags on Tumblr, looking at people's fan art and stuff. My sleeve is like sticking on my arm weird. Anyway, yeah, it was so much fun. And I found out that the movie is on HBO Max, which is the only streaming service that I actually have access to right now. So I'm probably gonna watch the movie. Even though I know it's not as good as the book, I still really love it. I think the casting in it, top notch. You get Brendan Fraser, Andy Serkis, Paul Bettany, like truly amazing choices. So that's something I'm gonna be doing this week, probably. Now though, since I finished this, I get to tell you about the next book I'm going to read, the last one for this vlog. I did not get it off of my shelf, so you're gonna have to give me a moment. I'll be right back. Okay friends, I'm back and I only have 3 minutes, so I have to make this quick before my sprint runs out. But the last prompt for astronomy is the constellation of dice, so I had to roll a d6, and whatever I rolled, I had to read a book with that many number of pages, or hundreds of pages, I mean. So I rolled a 2, so I had to read something with 200 something pages. And so I picked The Thief with Fuminori Nakamura, and this has 211 pages, so it fits. And this is an ARC, actually, that I got out of a little free library. It did come out, like, the publication date for the book was in 2012, so it's quite old, but it was free, and it sounded interesting. This is translated from Japanese, and it's, I think, a thriller of some sort, and it apparently won Japan's biggest literary award in 2009. And it's about a thief who has a past that's catching up to him, and he's offered a job that he can't refuse, so sounds interesting. I don't know anything else besides that, and I'm kind of happy about that because I like going into things like this blind. So I will most likely start this before bed, but I don't think I'm gonna finish it tonight, so I will see you tomorrow because, like, it's 200 pages. I'm definitely gonna be finishing this tomorrow, so I'll see you at that point, unless I might update you in the middle, actually. I don't know. We'll have to see how the story goes. I'll see you at some point, though. I'm kind of panicking because I'm running out of time for this clip, so I'm gonna cut it here. I'll see you in the future when I've done some reading. It is 3 p.m. on the 9th, and I'm here to tell you that I have finished reading The Thief. This was not a thriller, as I had been led to believe by the internet. This was barely even a mystery. Honestly, it was more like a literary noir, is what I would call this. And it just follows this man who, we never learn his name, he's a pickpocket, and he's like reflecting on a bunch of things that happened to him in the past, but he's also obviously in the present. He like meets this boy who he catches stealing from the grocery store, and he's like, you're gonna get caught, let me like pay for your stuff so you don't get in trouble. And he also like shows him a little bit of how to steal better, but then the man gets caught up with the Yakuza and has to do this job for them. And he learns that his old mentor was killed by the people who are like, you have to do this thing for us or we'll kill you. And then it just ends. Like, he does some stuff and then it just like, okay, that's it. There's no conclusion. We're just finishing the book. And then I just didn't really go anywhere. So it was kind of a disappointment, but it also wasn't the worst thing that I've read. It just was purely fine, I guess is how I would describe this. So not the best way to end this vlog out, but certainly not the worst. It definitely doesn't compare to the other 2 books I read, which I have right here. So we have Inkheart, which was my millionth time rereading this book. Obviously, I loved it. And then we had The Diviners, which is the first time I read it, and I absolutely loved this. So, overall, 2 amazing books and 1 purely fine book. I think that makes a decent vlog. I'm happy with my choices for reading books for the astronomy prompts. So that is that, I guess. I can say goodbye, and I will see you in the next vlog that I'm going to start immediately after I end this one, just because I started this one in the dark and I went back and looked at the footage and it's just, the lighting is horrible. So I want to start the next vlog while the lighting is still fine, even if I don't get to start reading right away. But that brings us to the end of this video. So if you've enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.